Welcome to the Pop Tower Podcast with your host, the man behind the myth, Peter Dawson, and the Soulful Lordy, James Bullock.
All right, it is the Pop Tower, episode 82, and man, James,
What's going on, Peter?
we got ghosts
Oh, man.
and
But-
dinosaurs.
Are we sure we're not in a grandiose saga?
No, I know we're in a pop culture thing because it has Will Ferrell screaming angrily at someone.
I
You know.
really do hate you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much what that's what he does.
It's funny because like that is the general consensus for all Americans right now. I really do hate you.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so we're talking about three things right now. I didn't know you were going to take it that way. I didn't know what to do. Let's try again. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about three things today: 2 movies and a game. And we're going to start off with the game because we're talking about Ghost of Tsushima.
Yes.
Which has been, man, this is probably one of the more hyped titles of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much being promoted as like the last hurrah for PlayStation 4 exclusives for obvious reasons because we haven't had any other PlayStation 4 exclusives announced since really after this was delayed. So.
Yeah, because the only other one was Last of Us Part 2, and we've already talked about that.
Yep.
And we're good.
Yeah.
So in this case, Ghost of Tsushima, produced by Sucker Punch, most famous for, of course, Infamous and Sly Cooper.
Yes.
Which you can see elements of that in this work, I have to say, but it may not be immediately obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Which is something I appreciate, because Naughty Dog's probably the only one who also really did this, where they, with the exception of going from Last of Us to Uncharted, you wouldn't be able to tell some of the franchises that they made, because they tend to really reinvent themselves.
Right, because, I mean, you think about Sly Cooper as a grandiose platformer. We had the Infamous series that had that open world, of course, but it still felt a lot more, it was definitely more linear than this could ever imagine to be.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the things right off the bat.
And then both of those games with Sly and Infamous really had more of a fantastical feel to them. You know, it was absurd compared to, it was video games. It was literally video games compared to this, where this is really more of a period piece. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. While a good chunk of the game, it doesn't even try to be historically inaccurate in points.
No, not at all.
Because it really tries to go for the romanticism of the Kurosawa era films.
Mm-hmm.
But the trick is the Kurosawa films are mostly set during the later Warring States period or the Tokugawa Shogunate period.
Right, exactly.
Whereas this is before either of those. It's still during the era of the Shogun, but it's before the Warring State period.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually around the time, one of the biggest anachronisms right off the bat is Jin uses a katana. The katana actually wasn't the most common sword at the time.
Exactly.
So, just gonna use that to spell it out here. So, the game, which follows Jin Sakai, a samurai of the Sakai clan, who was tasked with defending Tsushima from the invasion of the Mongolian Empire.
Right.
He is entirely fictional. His story is pretty much entirely fictional.
Yeah.
There's some aspects that are true because the Mongols did try to evade Japan around the same period, and ultimately they were thwarted. And one of my favorite parts is the fact that it's a freaking typhoon is one of the main reasons they couldn't succeed in the invasion.
Right.
So aptly, the wind plays a large amount of stuff in the game.
Yeah, it's amazing, the odes to it, and especially when you get to almost the end. There's definitely some homages to reality in that sense.
Yeah, because like I said, it plays with history. It still has it's like, oh yeah, this is what it really happened, but we're not gonna tell you that story because we want to do this sort of romantic yet still grounded tale. That's probably the interesting thing.
Yeah.
it really tries to go both ways, and it kind of succeeds.
No, it really does. It was one of those things that, especially when you see a lot of the characters, the NPCs that you interact with, and one of the biggest things about it that I thoroughly enjoyed is the fact that a majority of the main NPCs that you are connected to have their own story arcs, their own character arcs, their own slew of side missions. And that's when you really get that romanticism of really kind of like the future of spaghetti westerns that were the samurai movies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like, there's absolutely more than a few that are, like, very good at tapping into classic morality tales.
Mm-hmm.
You get more than a few, very exotic duel locations.
Yes.
Oh, man, there's some great ones. And, yeah, like, and it really talks about, at the core, because the whole point is, Jin, after failing to defeat the Mongols during the initial battle, because first of all, they're hilariously outnumbered. Second of all, the Mongols are using, black powder weapons, including Hwacha, another anachronism, but whatever. I mean, as long as you get to use the Hwacha, I can't complain about anachronisms too much. Right?
Oh, man.
Oh, man. But, yeah, like, they try to go fight them as samurai, and this guy, and their main enemy, what was his name again? It's something Khan.
Oh, Kuton Khan.
Yeah, Kuton Khan, who is, of course, fictional. He's one of the, was he one of the grandsons of Genghis? But
he's one of the grandson, yeah.
Yeah, because he's cousin or something to, Kotal Khan, who's the Khan who's active, right?
Yeah, exactly, yep.
Yeah, because Kotal Khan is the historic dude. He's not there.
But they actually do mention him. That was actually the cool part when they did mention him.
Yeah. Yeah, but it mostly follows around this other dude who is a very effective villain, I might add, because while he's not... Like, he's very well developed in his role, even if he's ultimately a bit limited, because he's very good at the psychological warfare.
It's amazing because there are several times, I forgot exactly what game we were talking about earlier this year, where it was like one enemy we were supposed to hate. Maybe I'm just thinking like other games in general. One I think about like Final Fantasy 12, where we were supposed to hate certain characters, even Final Fantasy 10 with Seymour. And they get very limited screen time. But they don't do a good enough job of making you actually detest them and want to see them get what they have coming to them. Whereas with this, where you have Khan, he doesn't get that much screen time, but when they have him on screen, he is a very detestable human being, and you really want somebody to take him down.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's very effective in that role.
Yeah.
And unlike Seymour for Final Fantasy X, he doesn't die 17 times, and you still constantly brag how he's going to be undefeated. Seymour sucked.
Oh, I hated him. I hated him so much.
Everything,
and not in the way I was supposed to. No.
There's a lot of problems with that dude. Anyway, a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Oh my. I think even fans of that game hate him.
Oh yeah, no. I've never seen anybody praise him. Literally, no. I've never seen anyone praise him. I've seen people praise his freaking theme music, but other than that...
Yeah. So, Ghost of Tsushima, yeah, the core of it revolves around Jin having to go, okay, I can't win by being a samurai. I guess I'll have to become something else.
Right.
So he becomes the air quote ghost.
The ghost,
effectively a ninja. Like, that's essentially what you're becoming, is you're a samurai who's becoming a ninja, but... Because, like, the concept of the ninja was still... Because it really revolved around the idea of the samurai. And what they do a really good job of is showing both the spiritual nature of the samurai and why violating that code can be troubling, and also the political implications of it.
Yes. Yes, because there it gets... When we get to, the second act, almost the end of the second act, and Jin has to really come face-to-face with the idea of being... a true heart samurai, or just embracing this new way of combat. The way they present it is so well done, and there is a moment between him and his uncle, who plays a big role in the story, that you really want Jin to just do what really you know he shouldn't, and kind of sell out his friends, but then when he still does it, you still feel terrible about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you feel terrible about him dishonoring the code anytime that you do it. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, you see how effective it really is. And in truth, they do walk that line of saying, this is combat, this is war. There's no real honor in war.
Yeah, that's really the trick, right? Like, because like you get that very early on. Because one of the first scenes has a character who, well, doesn't get much development because of what happens. The impact of this particular death, it actually resonates through the rest of the game. Because Lord Adachi charges up, does the classic honorable taunt, just like, I am so-and-so of so-and-so, Clan Adachi, I challenge you to single combat. And then, what's his nuts? I can still never remember his name. Kodan just kind of looks at him, throws booze on him, and Adachi's like, what the heck, man? and then Kodan just takes a torch and throws it at him, and then Adachi's like, oh, heck, and bursts into flames. Yeah, and it's like, well, that was brutal.
Yeah.
They are Mongols.
Yeah, there were definitely several moments that were just absolutely hard to watch. Like, literally, they were hard to watch because you can just imagine all of this happening, and it's rough. I mean, it really is. But it's not like The Last of Us 2 rough. It's one of those things like, man, you are in shock that they're going this far with it. Like, I did not expect certain moments to happen in this game, especially, as you said earlier, just depicting Khan as a great villain.
Yeah. Well, this is the interesting thing about the whole thing is because for centuries, people fought war trying to follow certain rules, and even today we're still trying to, of course, enforce that with like stuff like the Geneva Convention and everything.
Yeah.
And this game really explores that because, like, just to name two historic examples, like, the Mongols became famous at a point for focusing on mounted archery. Because they used, like, the short bow on the horses. They just ride around and shoot people rather than, like, just going up and stabbing them.
Right, exactly.
Like, they still had weapons for that. Obviously...
But, I mean, they're going to go with the path of least resistance.
Yeah. And, like, so that became a tactic that made them so devastating, especially during Genghis's period. And then, like, another example that I love is what happened with the Japanese invasions of Korea. One of the reasons... why can't I think of his name? The famous admiral who basically single-handedly saved Korea. The famous Korean admiral. If you Google famous Korean admiral, you'll
see. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, his whole thing was because the Japanese liked to charge ships and then use boarding parties, primarily favoring like rifles and stuff, whereas the Koreans would always keep their distance and primarily use their cannons. So as a result, you have Admiral Yi. That's his name. I just remembered it. Yi would just kind of hang back and constantly pull back to, like, just blast the enemy. Whereas they're like, we gotta get close so we can board their ship. We gotta get close. And so they're just charging into cannon fire and getting sunk. Which is why Yi was so effective. Because, like, his tactics were considered maybe not the most glorious at the time, but they were hilariously effective.
Right.
Because, well, he lost individuals, because, people would still get shot or hit with arrows or whatever. Like, it would be, oh yeah, I didn't lose a single ship. How many did the enemy lose? 50. Like that. Like I think the game, just by showing how effective like the Mongol tactics can be, and like how effective in turn Jin developing these ghost tactics can be, is a really good job of highlighting just the evolution of warfare.
Yeah. And then not only that, like you said, highlighting the evolution of warfare, you also see it where they're actually learning from each other. And seeing how we can utilize other people's tactics to benefit us. And there's like the big turning point in the story that I absolutely love, where you just kind of like see the error of your ways, but you still also see the positivity and the benefit of it, even if it's against the code.
Yep. It's really the thing. Like, and it's like that core. Like, it's interesting that they play it up as much as they do, because there's no actual moral choice to it.
No, which was actually very shocking. I don't know if you've actually gotten all the way through the game, but there is a choice at the very end. But it really doesn't have anything to do with anything that you've done up to that point. It's like, it's just up to you. There's one major choice that you can make, And that's, like, for you personally, like, that would be your feeling of morality and what was beneficial and what wasn't. But, as you said, you know, throughout the entire game, you can do whatever you want to do. You can play either as the Honorable Samurai or as the Ghost. And it doesn't necessarily have a implication on the overall narrative, because the narrative is pretty static when it comes to that.
Like, I described it to somebody as, when it comes to the stealth mechanics of the game, as it being like Dunkaroos. You can use as much or as little stealth as you want.
Exactly.
As opposed to, you know, frosting with Dunkaroos, for those who don't get that joke. Anyway, yeah, like, because one of the things I really appreciate is, well, there are some missions that are very stealth-heavy and can be very irritating.
Yeah,
I can think of at least two off the top of my head, and I haven't even...
There were a couple of don't raise the alarms, and just general, like, you have to be as quiet as possible. There's one mission that in the second act that really annoyed me, because you had to be stealthy the whole time. And unfortunately, some of the stuff that you have, some of the tools that you need to be stealthy, you know, you don't have that much when it comes to a number. It's very limited. So sometimes it's easy to run out of those tools, and you kind of have to struggle and keep restarting and restarting.
Is it the one where you have to take the three dudes' heads?
No. Actually, the funny thing about it, I thought that was going to be more difficult than it was for me.
Yeah, that one was annoying, but it wasn't that bad.
No, the one that I had the problem with was the deciding that I was going to poison the food.
Right, that one is pretty hard.
Yeah, that was very annoying.
And that's an actual storyline critical one too. So.
Right, yeah. Because
that's a trick. Because I want to dive into this a bit. So the core storyline is pretty good. Mm-hmm. You know, Jin's moral choices and the people around him. Like, the characters in general are very well developed.
Yeah, very much so. I was thoroughly surprised how much I enjoyed pretty much every character they presented.
I will say right off the bat, not enough Kenji.
Oh my goodness, yes. He only gets 3 missions. I wanted more Kenji.
I did not need that many Norio missions. I'm just going to say, Norio was kind of boring.
You know what? It was funny because, like, the Norio missions I was fine with. It just felt like there was not that much happening until, like, the last couple of them. And I was like, oh, man, that's really cool. But, yeah, they could have had maybe, like, 5 missions for him instead. I think it was 9.
It was 9. It was too many.
Yeah, like, 4 or 5 would have been perfect.
Like Matsuko and Ishikawa had this problem, too, because, like, well, most of the missions were pretty good. There was 1 or 2 I'm like, you could have cut this one.
Yeah, oh, yeah, you could have cut that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because, like Kenji didn't have enough. Yuna had the right amount, I think.
Yeah, oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And then the Yuriko had the right amount, too, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that was a sad series of missions.
Yeah. That was rough. That was rough. That was a rough one.
Yeah. And I think I commented to you before on, because there's a couple things I really liked in this game. One of them was the Mystic Tales.
Yes.
Because in general they're very good, but there's one of them I really didn't like because it was like, there's a man whose armor is said to be invincible. Well, I better go find him. So you go find him, and you fight him.
Yeah.
And that's just the end.
That was it. Yeah, because like the first few, you gotta hunker down for a little bit. You know, usually they're about 25, 30 minutes of a mission. And some of them even a little bit longer. I think it was like the second one where you actually have to go through liberate an area before you can even get to the person that you need to finish the mission. Like, you had to do a little bit more stuff than you normally would just to try to finish that one. But then, like you said, those other ones, a few of the third area, Mystic Tales, don't last long at all. Like,
no,
they just go do this real quick and you can finish it up real quickly. There's one where you have to climb a mountain. And the reward is really cool, but the journey to get there really isn't. And that was. I know you talked about it on Facebook after not long after we got it and started playing it, and you were saying you were having just some not necessarily difficulty, but just frustration with some of the platforming. And like that was that mission where I was like, oh, I hate the platforming right now.
Yeah. Because the platforming in general is very good, but it's got a couple of glaring problems. Mm-hmm. Probably one of the biggest being, like, it has all these cliffs that you need to scale down at points, and it's not very friendly about scaling down in areas.
Yeah.
I kind of wish they would have made that a little easier, because as a result, you have to try and figure out the way down, but you want to go as fast as possible, but you can't just jump off. Because while you have the ability to jump from a height that would normally damage you and do a roll, if it's high enough to instantly kill you, it doesn't matter.
Right. And there's been actual times where, actually one of the later missions where I fell and landed like on an in-between spot where it was enough that I could not die. I could actually revive myself, but I was in such a bad position that there was no way I could get out of this hole. So then I had to inevitably jump down anyway and die.
Yeah. That's pretty much how it goes.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not that bad. But there are definitely certain missions and certain scenarios where you reach it and you're like, okay, I really wish they would have thought better of it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes the invisible walls too, when you're trying to climb, just are not good.
No, they're not.
No.
But in general, the stealth mechanics, especially with the upgrades you can get, those work pretty well.
Oh yeah, very much so. We can spoil this one. The darts are pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, once you get those, oh my god. I was gonna mention though, the other. Yeah, I wanted to talk about the busy work in the game.
Okay.
Because it's an open world, and now they were very smart about one thing. I'm just gonna praise this. They made every bit of busy work also a fast travel point.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I was actually surprised.
Very good idea.
I was really surprised how well they structured the fast travel system.
Yeah. No, there's one flaw with it, which I'll mention in a moment, but I wanted to talk about some of the busy work first of all before we get to... Actually, you know what? I'll mention the flaw first. The only problem is villages are marked as their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, villages are huge in some cases. And so finding a particular merchant can be a pain.
Yes. That is a situation I've had several times that I just wish if you could just zoom in a little bit more. And, then they'll show you, there's the merchant in this place. Like, that would be so beneficial. Because there were definitely times I'll be running around trying to find the merchants. And even though they have the little symbols over their heads to indicate them, depending on where you are, and this is a big problem for me that I mentioned in my first impressions, and I'll mention it here too, the camera doesn't do one thing we've always talked about that we hate, and that is not go through objects. So certain times, if this person is behind a wall or something, it won't show you the icon to tell you, this is a merchant, until you get into an angle where you can actually see the icon, because the camera will not go through certain objects to allow you to see what's going on.
Yeah, the only time they do it is if it's gold.
Yeah.
And not all the merchants are marked in gold.
Right.
They're only marked if there's a specific upgrade
available. If you have a specific
available,
upgrade, yep.
Which doesn't always help, especially if you're trying to get cosmetic stuff. So I wanted to talk about some of the busy work. So some of them I quite liked.
Yeah.
Like if there's one I really enjoyed, it was the haiku.
Yeah.
Because I said it on Facebook when we were talking about this, and I'll say it again. This game gave me a better appreciation for haiku than any high school semester on poetry ever did.
Amen.
Like, holy hell. I always say, if you're studying poetry, if you're studying haiku, play this game and just do the haikus.
Yes.
Because, like, even just watching the video isn't enough. You really need to play it yourself and really kind of...
really try to put it together, really experience it. It's so fun.
Oh, yeah. I've been writing my own damn haikus. I don't have a good one to, like... I don't have a good one to really share right now. I say after I kind of boast about that, but it's like, it's been, like, I've been going out and I've been enjoying, like, because I've been enjoying nature this summer when I can.
Right.
And so now I've been kind of, like, sitting more and just kind of thinking about stuff and just trying to, like, compose a haiku.
Yeah.
And that's been actually very enjoyable, and this game inspired me to do
it. It really reinforced that inspiration.
Absolutely. And that's really kind of the key thing that haiku spots do. I mean, the only thing that's kind of annoying is the haiku rewards aren't very good.
Well, I do appreciate it. I mean, it's just pretty much headbands. But I do appreciate the fact that the headbands, when you go look at them, they actually have the haiku attached to them.
Yeah.
Which I do enjoy. I like that. But, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things when it comes to this game where, cosmetic items are the rewards without much to show for it. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, a lot of the attires, especially when you upgrade them, actually has some great benefits.
Oh, yeah. No, because that's, for good or for bad, one of the things they did was they made all the armor, the clothing options, at least the core body outfits, have buffs.
Right.
which, you know, there's always that debate about having cosmetic items do that, because sometimes you just want to wear a certain outfit. Because, like, a key one when exploring this game is wearing the traveler's attire.
Oh, 90% of the time I'm wearing it.
Yeah, exactly, which is kind of annoying. At Lakefleet, it's a decent outfit, because, you know, it's like cool robes with a cape.
Yeah, when I have either the red or the white color, like, I love it. It looks great.
Yeah. I love the black one, too.
Yeah, really the whole outfit looks great, no matter what color. Like, I wish we could have more colors, actually.
I know, that's definitely, like, even the white one's pretty good.
Yeah, I really enjoy the white one, yeah.
But yeah, what was I saying? Like, just having to wear that most of the time was kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I really like some of the other ones. Like, I really liked, the Kensei armor. I really liked the Gosaku armor.
Yeah, the Gosaku armor was awesome.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones to bust out in combat.
Yeah.
The Sakai one's pretty good, too, once you get that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the ones, like, anytime I have a standoff, I immediately hit pause and switch my armor.
I know, that's kind of the one thing, is, like, they designed it that way, but I don't know if they made it fluid enough.
No, it's not, because, like, one minute you get it off your horse, and then one piece of attire, and the next minute you have a completely different attire. It's great.
Yeah. I
It
kind
just
of
looks
wish
so
they
weird.
did a little bit more outside the box on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of busy work, I was saying, some of the collectible stuff I kind of wish they didn't do. The banners, I hate.
Yeah, the banners, I mean, I understand, once again, cosmetic, but they were just annoying. Like, it didn't really feel like it was anything that I felt beneficial for doing it.
No, that was probably the most pointless addition.
Yeah.
Like, the crickets are kind of a weird choice,
I was
too.
just about to say the singing crickets, too. Even though it does allow you to play different songs, it still didn't give me any incentive to try to go out and find all the crickets. Like, just didn't care.
No, except for trophies, of course.
Yeah, just outside of the trophies. But I don't even think the crickets were a trophy, were they?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Like, it's amazing, like, the Shinto banners and the crickets, which are two of the more insignificant ones, had nothing to do with trophies. So, I mean, to me, it was kind of like one of those things, like the developers saying themselves, it was just added stuff. It was really useless.
Yeah, I haven't spoiled myself yet with the trophies. I should probably check those soon.
Yeah.
Because I've been doing a good job of just finding them on my own.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. I started trophy hunting to try to finish up the game Saturday. And when I looked at my collection, I was like, oh, I only have 2 fox dens left. I have 3 haikus left. I have 2 shrines. Like, I was almost complete, just me running around the world.
Yeah, no, because that's the first thing I did when I unlocked the new areas. I would just explore everything in the travel attire before I continued the plot. Which wasn't always easy, but because there are a couple of places you can't enter until the storyline lets you.
Or you're facing insurmountable odds.
Yep. I do appreciate how they handle that. And it leads to some hilarious moments. But anyway, yeah, the exploration, like... So you know my favorite. What was your least favorite exploration collectible or whatever?
I hate to say the... I hate to... Okay, no, actually, just thought about it, the pillars.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pillars, yeah.
Yeah, the pillars are the most useless, because they're just like... I mean, on the one hand, it's nice you find them and you're done, but all you're doing is getting cosmetics.
Yeah, it's just skins.
Yeah, and you're just going and picking them up. That's it.
That's it. Yeah, it's just skins. And the only ones that are worth anything are the ones where you just ironically stumble upon one where you can bow in front of it and cause a little special animation.
Yeah.
Like, I had one that I just so happened to run into. It was on the beach, and when I did a bow, a bunch of crabs came out of the sand and just followed me all around for a little bit. It was so cool.
Yeah, I do love the Easter eggs they have in the game, but and of course some of the cosmetics are referenced to past games.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This one outfit, very obvious Sly Cooper reference.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
But no, the Pillars of Honor, that's busy work at its
that was it.
And that one is actually trophy related.
That is, yeah.
Unlike, because the banners, I think you only need 20 or 30?
Yeah, I think it's 20. Yeah, it's 20. Same thing with the...
And you can get it through mandatory, semi-mandatory quests.
Yeah, and that includes also the artifacts and the reading material, whatever the reading ones. I think it's artifacts, isn't it? Where it's like, all you just need is 20, but it's, I want to say 50 or 60 available in the whole game, so...
There's 50 artifacts and 40 records.
Okay, there you go. And you only need 20 of each, so it's very easy.
Yeah. I do appreciate that they didn't require you to get them all.
Yeah, that would have been annoying.
Oh, so
That
annoying.
would have been too much time.
I think they realized when they didn't put them on the map, they're like, okay, we got to do it this way, otherwise people are going to hate us.
Right, exactly.
Because it's like, at least the other places like the Pillars of Honor, you get rewarded for exploring, but that said, Pillars of Honor definitely still the worst. Bamboo Strike, by the way, anyone who's playing this game and hates the Bamboo Strike, you can turn off the timer. I'm just going to point that out right now.
Wow, I had no idea, honestly.
Yeah, no, legit, you can turn it off. So
Wow.
then you just have to do the sequence. And believe me, it made my life a lot easier, and I was just like, you know what? This actually makes me... Because then I can focus on enjoying this.
Right. Oh, man.
Because the Bamboo Strike, you know...
They were a little difficult, but I didn't have too many problems. A couple of them that had some complicated sequences. But it was like
I'm
one
left-handed, James.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Yeah.
But the problem I had with a couple of them was funny because I don't know if it was just like the game adapting or what, but like I started doing the inputs a little bit slower and the thing slowed down for me. So
It's entirely possible.
like I failed. You have failed enough.
It's like the opposite of Yakuza 0 with the disco dancing, where you do better, so the game feels it has to do better. Too, and you're like, come on, cut me some slack.
Oh, the freaking pull-ups in Final Fantasy 7.
Yep, same thing.
Yeah.
Oh man, hated that one.
Oh man, that was a monster.
That's still one of my most hated minigames.
Yeah, I really, just bane of my existence when it came to that.
Oh yeah. So I was thinking we talked about Bamboo Strikes. Inori Shrines. I thought there was too many, but I did enjoy them. So
yeah, no, they were a few of them were nice. It was one of those things where if they cut down maybe 5 or 6 of them, it would have been a lot more enjoyable and just kept like the really fun ones. But like several of them were just like, oh, climb a little bit of a hill and then you're there.
Yeah. And the Shinto Shrines are long, but they're usually worth it.
Yeah.
Especially because you get some decent rewards because you always get a really good charm and you always get
some kind of really nice item. Some kind of a nice upgradable item that you can get, like some wood or something that you.
Waxwood.
Yeah, waxwood. There you go. That you rarely get any type around the world.
Yeah, that's the only place you can get waxwood, which is the thing you need to upgrade your bows.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh yeah. So let's use that. I want to talk about my favorite weapon, the wind chime. Because when I got that charm that made it poisonous, that became my signature weapon. Like, that's one of the things that is really great about this game, is because the combination of charms and items can lead to some interesting builds. Because, like, one of the ones I always had equipped was the one that lets me regenerate health out of combat.
Same here.
Same here. That was a good one to have. And, like, for a long time I had the one equipped that let me get double items.
Same here. Yep,
because those are very good ones to have early on. But eventually I had more than enough supplies. I'm like, okay,
I don't need this anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, because I still haven't turned off regen health. I'm going into a big fight. I'm going to turn on the perfect parry enhancement, or I want to do stealth. I'm going to use the poison thing, or it's like I'm going to have to probably run through and throw a bunch of kunai. I'll get the thing to add more kunai, etc., right? So, like in that respect, they work pretty well. And of course, there's always a couple charms I never took off, and a couple I would sub in and out. But that does lead me to my other critique. Too many redundant charms with no way to delete them.
Oh my goodness, yes.
They needed a favorite system for that.
Not only that, but the fact is that they would have them organized automatically. Like, they wouldn't have, the set of charms for the health or the stealth or anything, like, in the same section. It would be just pretty much how you got them. Whenever you got them, that's where we're going to put them.
Mm-hmm.
I really wish they would have had a better organization system for that.
No, that's something that I really hope they patch at some point. Because
just having the ability to sell them. Like, that would have been perfectly fine.
Yeah, or even just get rid of the old ones somehow, yeah.
Right. Or if you have one that's already there, they don't do duplicates. Like, that would have been perfectly fine.
Oh, yeah.
Just give you more supplies or something in replacement of it, that's all.
Exactly. And yeah, there's just a handful of charms they probably can't make you sell, even the minor ones, just because they're important. But, yeah. I don't know. That said, I think we're more or less wrapping up. I don't know how much we talked about, but like the combat's very good.
Yeah. I think a majority of people have seen this already when it comes to the combat. Like, there's not that much else to talk about. There are stances that you have to switch around to accommodate to certain enemies. Blocking and parrying are imperative when it comes to timing. Like, you have to learn that, because if you don't, you will get hit a lot, especially by those annoying spear users. They will poke the hell out of you. Like, it's ridiculous.
Man, spear users are really annoying early on if you don't
If you don't time it properly, yeah.
Well, what's nice is when you get the wind stance to beat them, that's really great, especially because the wind stance is the best stance.
And then if you upgrade a little bit, it'll automatically block it for you.
Yep.
Which
early on,
very
my big tactic. Early on, my big tactic for spear users was to jump and slash.
Oh, cool! Yeah.
Because that lets you avoid their spear stab and also hit them. So that was kind of my early adaptation for that, because that was just the most effective way.
Yeah, no.
Some of the stances are a little goofy looking, but
yeah,
wind stance, boot to the face.
The stance for the brutes is hilarious to look at.
Oh yeah. Well, even the one for what is it? It's Earth. What's the middle? What's the second
I know
one?
we've got stone. It's stone, moon. Is it wind and water?
Stone, water, wind, moon.
Okay, there you go. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the water stance also looks kind of goofy. The moon is definitely the most goofy, because that's the anti-brute one.
Okay, yeah, that's the one. Yep.
Like the stone and the wind stances are pretty respectable looking.
Yeah, they look normal, but no, the wind stance just cracked me up when I first saw it.
Oh yeah, the moon stance, you mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, but the combat's very fluid. It focuses on blocking, parrying, dodging, and timing heavy guard breaking attacks with regular attacks. It does it very seamlessly.
Yeah.
And it also integrates sub weapons fairly well. So as a result, the combat flows fairly well. I wouldn't say, I'm not going to use the Ron Howard quote, "It just works."
Yeah.
Because there's still a potential few hiccups here and there. Probably the most annoying for me is it's very situational when you can use the boot to kick people off cliffs.
Oh, yeah.
It's really disappointed me.
The same thing with the shoulder tackle, the running shoulder tackle.
I don't use that much, but yeah.
I've used it several times, and that was the way I got the trophy to knock somebody off a high ledge was the shoulder tackle. But
it was during the duel at the lighthouse for me. I just kicked the guy off the edge.
Oh!
And then I did it 6 more times, because that was one of the best areas to do that. I kept kicking people off cliffs. They were like, "Stop it!" I'm like, No.
But my biggest problem when it comes to the game, and I really didn't want a lock-on system. I'm fine with it not having one, but there were definitely times when I would hit an enemy, stagger them, and I'm trying to go for the next strike, and Jim would decide, I'm going to hit that person to his right.
Yeah, targeting is a little wonky at times.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
that's true. It's one of those things. It doesn't cause enough trouble to be annoying the entire game, but every once in a while
it will start acting funky. I did notice that, especially in the later portion, because of course you're fighting a lot more enemies at one time.
Yeah.
But early in the game, you really don't notice it. You might notice it once in a while, but it's very, very rare. The first couple of acts. But the third act, when you kind of get more into the big grandiose battles, it becomes one of those problems. Or when you try to liberate a camp with a lot of enemies, you're like, oh, why can't you just follow directions?
Well, I know, that's one of the most glaring things. It's more than once I was trying to rush a dude who was shooting at me, especially with the explosive weapons and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But because there was a dude to my right who was closer, even though I'm hitting up to go forward,
right? Even though I'm facing the person that I want to strike.
Yeah, Jin is trying to attack the closest enemy.
Yes.
So it's that probably could use a little more
fine tuning.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's just one of those rare times where you have to fight against the game, and there's a few instances in this. I love this game a lot, and I'll freely admit it's currently my front runner for best game of 2020.
Same here.
But I am not blind about the flaws.
No, same here. No. It's one of those things that I'm not going to say at all that is perfect. There are definitely some fundamental flaws. There are definitely some gameplay issues. There's even some pacing issues when it comes to the overall story. But from an overall perspective, I had so much fun from beginning to end with this that the flaws that I have seen, the flaws that I have experienced, pale in comparison to the positives and the fun that I had.
Yeah. I will... Oh, that reminds me. One more thing I wanted to critique slightly. Because the game takes itself very seriously in points.
That's why we needed more Kenji.
Well, yeah, that's one of the reasons. Because, oh my god, that one where you have to rescue his friend from the camp, and then they're doing stuff off screen. So at one point they just showed bear! And I'm like, oh my god, what is going on?
I love the fact after he saves him, and the guy tells Kenji to choke on a rice ball.
I know. Oh my god. Now, Kenji's a fantastic comedy character. Like, that's really kind of the thing, because, like, a lot of the times, like, they still get decent amount of humor, but it's more like the snarky, you know, almost superhero style humor.
Yeah, like there's a scene pretty late in the game, but it's not that big of a spoiler, with Jin and one of the main NPCs, Yuna, just having a drinking session together, you know, just reminiscing.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, that's kind of played up for a little bit of humor. But it's still, you know, in that kind of, like, serious, like, there's some downtime, but we still have a war to fight, you know, kind of deal, kind of presentation.
Yeah.
Whereas
Kenji's
just absurd.
I know, like, you didn't need everyone to be like Kenji, but it's like, there's more than a few points, like, because they're serious all the time, some of the conversations in the longer sub-stories, like the 9-part Ishikawa one, for example.
Yeah.
Some of those conversations felt redundant. Ditto some of the ones with Masako, and I'm just like, you didn't need to be this long if you're just going to say the same thing over and over.
Yeah, and then when you have some revelations, like, oh, why can't you do this earlier?
I know, that's really what I'm saying. Like, it's, that could have been better handled.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of the glaring issue with the, you know, like, some people were saying, everyone's so damn serious. I'm like, they're really not.
No, like, there's definitely a lot of subtle humor to the overall game, but also, I have to point out when people do bring it up, look at this current situation that they're in. Like, it's not going to be a Yakuza game where...
No, it's really not.
No, like, I mean, we can have the funny sub-stories in Yakuza because really the world is pretty absurd. And even a majority of the characters are pretty absurd as well. So it just kind of fits when you have that. But, I mean, when you have this kind of game and this kind of setting, I'm not expecting to have a bunch of humorous side stories.
Yeah. I know, that's one of the things, though. Some of the side stories are not great.
No, some of them are just really, like, oh, we could have... You really were just like, oh, we wanted to have X amount of side stories, but we don't have enough creativity to come up with something unique.
Probably the most glaring one for me is the one where man runs away from his home, says, help, my family's under attack. You go and find his family. They're dead. You kill the guy who killed them. Then you go tell him, hey, your family's dead. End of mission.
Right, yeah.
And it was like, this isn't a great morality tale. Like, this is just, ugh. Like, some of the other ones are really good. Like, the ones where this girl's convinced demons killed her family and it turns out to be bandits.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
yeah.
It's an obvious twist, but it's still a good story, at least.
There was one that I found, that was one of the latter ones that I had no idea that I missed. That was, of course, you know, with the ghosts. And it's one of the few times we actually see villagers upset with him because of his actions. And like I'm like, oh, that was pretty cool. I finally have a nice little twist on what's going on in the world. But like you said, there were several side missions that were just, hey, run, do this, have a little bit of interaction with somebody that you'll never meet again, and now we can call it a day.
Laughing Bandits also stood out to me, because that was one I just did recently.
Oh, yeah.
That one actually bothers me a bit, just because it's like, her family gets killed, and it turns out it's partially her fault because she trusted and fell in love with a bandit who then used her. But you can choose not to kill the bandits.
Right.
Even though they're murderers.
Yeah.
Which is a weird choice because of how many times you can choose not to kill someone.
Right.
Because there's not very many instances of that
No,
in
there's
the
not
game.
very many chances for you to spare someone.
And I was just like, it almost felt like a weird type of slut-shaming. I'm like, what the hell?
It's like literally a trophy for shooting someone when they're fleeing in terror. Like, they want you to kill people when they're running away.
Is that legit a trophy?
That's a legit trophy.
Oh, man, I gotta watch out for that one, then.
Yeah, if you got somebody fleeing in terror, shoot them with an arrow, you get a trophy.
I gotta do that at some point, then. I have to remember that. Because I got a few moves that can terrify right now, so.
Yeah.
Especially with, speaking of which, it's a toss-up for me, favorite duel, but it's gotta be one of the Mystic Tales from Chapter 1. It's either the end of the Bow Quest, where you're fighting the dude in the Storm of Crows.
Oh, that was the first one that popped in my mind, yeah.
Yeah, or the other one is the Heavenly Strike one.
Yeah, the first one, yeah.
Yeah, right? Those two are still probably the best ones. Like, some of the other duels are great. Like, all the ones with the frickin' leaves, the crashing waves.
Yeah, I was about to say the Straw Hat duels, yeah.
All those are pretty good. And,
yeah,
like, the
all
Waterfall
really,
duel's
really
pretty
good.
solid. And, like, they're all great, but, like, it's hard to top those.
Yeah, no. When you said it, like, that was the first one that popped in my head. Yeah.
Yeah, like, those two are probably the most...
The demon duel, that's just great. With the crows and everything, that was great.
Oh, my God. I was just like, what? Yeah, that's kind of the shame of it all, is I don't know if they ever matched that level of intensity as those two.
Right, it's funny because, like, that was one of the few ones where we had kind of like a supernatural occurrence happening.
Yeah.
And it was like, man, this is the coolest one.
Well, that was the thing, because it's like, those really set the tone for the Mystic Tales, and then some of them are just like...
Just regular, just his regular fetch quest.
Yeah, you just go find guy and kill him.
Yeah.
Done. You get his armor.
Oh, he was living in a cave the whole time. I had no idea.
Yeah, it was a cool setting, don't get me wrong. And there was a fun duel, but it wasn't exactly... It was like a Mystic Tale.
Right, exactly.
It's like you find the weird homeless man living under in the sewer, and then you beat him up.
Yeah.
It just turns out he's a martial arts master.
Yeah,
cool, but
he was living in peace too. He was doing nothing to no one.
I know. It wasn't like he was walking the path of pieces.
Yeah. Like, I want your armor. I'm just chilling here. Why do you want to attack me?
Leave me alone. All right, I think we've spent enough time on this game. We should
very much so. I actually went a lot longer than I thought we would with this.
I knew we were going to go at least.
I knew this would be like the longest one, but I didn't think we'd go this long. But as you said, right now, front runner for Game of the Year for me.
Yeah, like that's the thing. We talked about Last of Us 2 a lot. It's definitely not going to be front runner for Game of the Year.
Oh no! I enjoyed it. I think a lot more than other people did. But I would not even look. I would not play The Last of Us 2 and think, oh, I'm not coming off of The Last of Us 2 feeling the way I felt with this. Like, I felt just blown away by this game, especially with there's two endings. I'll just say this. There are two endings, and both of them I absolutely loved.
Yeah. I have seen them both already, but I won't spoil them.
Yeah, I loved them. I love both of them.
Anyway, so let's talk about Eurovision.
Yes.
Man, so Eurovision Song Contest, the story of the Fire Saga, sounds like one of those movies that was probably conceived of, I'm going to say 5 years ago.
That's a very good point, yes.
Yeah.
It feels like
and then they made recently?
Yeah, it's one of those movies where, like, oh, we finally got a chance to make it, but we're 5 years too late.
I know. But in this case, unlike, say, Holmes and Watson, or, what was it? The Incredible Burt Wonderstone.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that would have... Oh, Burt Wonderstone in particular really felt dated.
Oh,
man. Like, those movies... Well, especially... Well, Burt Wonderstone was kind of watchable. But, if nothing else, just Jim Carrey as the Chris Angel spoof.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty amazing.
That was funny. That was good stuff.
Although I don't want to repeat one of the jokes in that movie.
Yeah.
Out of context, that's really awkward.
It's no, exactly what you're talking about.
And honestly, it's a joke you probably, yeah. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so Eurovision is like, you could see why this was pitched as a Will Ferrell movie, because it's like, hey, let's spoof the Eurovision Song Contest, but have the main character be an Icelandic singing sensation.
Yes.
And so they just kind of took. I feel like they started with the vague stereotypes of Icelandic singers and vague idea of how Eurovision is supposed to work. Mm-hmm. Which, no shock, they reference ABBA, arguably the most famous Eurovision winner. And it's like they started with what may not have been a great idea, but thankfully it turned into something shockingly solid.
Yes.
Like, let me put it this way, right off the bat. If you really can't stand Will Ferrell in almost any movie where he's a screaming man-child, yeah, you still won't like this movie.
Yeah, no, you're going to hate it. You're going to hate it because...
He's absolutely doing it, but it's like, for a man who has a type, because this is what he does in like 90% of his movies, he's still pretty good at this one.
No, I mean, he even gets called out for being a man-child in this movie several times.
Yes, like this movie at least handles that better than some of the other times. And I'll also say right off the bat, he's usually only as good as his supporting cast. And thankfully the supporting cast of this is actually pretty good.
Really good.
Which is funny because some of them I wouldn't have called being great in this movie, but they were. Because, like, Rachel McAdams is, like, I've always liked her as an actress. And, of course, Canadian Pride. But, she's really good in this.
No, to me, she was the standout in this movie.
Well, I'd say her and Dan Stevens.
Oh yeah. Alexander.
As Lemtov? Yeah.
Alexander.
Alexander.
I love the Greek statues. Are those statues from Greece? Yeah, that's exactly what I thought they were. They look just like you.
That was a great scene.
That was such a great scene.
I will say, though, I don't know if casting Pierce Brosnan just for a reference to Mamma Mia was worth it.
Yeah.
Like, he's fine in the movie, but I don't know, like, you know, I feel like they could have cast better, but at the same time, they could have cast way worse.
No. I was thoroughly surprised to see his face in the movie, period. And then, like, there's a scene really late in the movie with him and Lars, who's Will's character, and that I really did enjoy. Like, I said, oh, man, Pierce just knocked it out of the park right there.
Yeah.
I just love that scene with the revelation. He just gets so mad.
And thankfully, the movie, while having a few surface-level jokes about Iceland, never gets, like, offensive.
No, not at all. No, it's more of like the ignorance of others is what makes it offensive.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because, like, some people might wonder if Iceland hates this movie. Iceland loves this movie.
No, like, they did a service to Iceland when it came to this. It was one of those things where, like, the obvious disgust for certain aspects of Iceland came from people that were just too ignorant to understand. And they treated it with such respect and reverence. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed the lore that they explored with one scene in particular.
Yeah, like, you know what this reminds me of? Although I think it's better than it. It reminds me of Casa de Mi Padre.
Oh yeah, very much. Oh yeah, but definitely better.
Yeah, because, like, Casa de Mi Padre was a very well made and actually very respectful in some respects movie. Where they were really trying to. The problem is most of the spoofing was ultimately surface level because it was just based around the one joke. Hey, what if Will Ferrell was the romantic lead in one of these?
Exactly.
Right. Where in this case they had more to say.
Yeah.
And so as a result, it's definitely better done. But like that one movie was done shockingly respectfully, despite some obvious flaws. Whereas like this one, again, there's some obvious flaws, but I think it's done fairly respectfully in the end, which is pretty satisfying.
Yeah.
And helps because like I'm sure anyone who's like, oh, God, Will Ferrell as a singing Icelandic sensation spoofing the Eurovision contest? Oh, no. No. Legit. It's all right. You can enjoy this one guilt-free. May not be the funniest movie. Some jokes do not land. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, again, it's still Will Ferrell man-child shtick, and while they handle it better, if you're sick of it, you won't like it.
No, you won't. It won't make you change your mind on the idea of why this is annoying.
Oh, 100%. No. Like I'm not sick of it, but I am a little tired of it. So
no, I'm tired of like just the formula with him like not going or branching out in terms of that. But it's one of those situations where I know what I'm in for, and I'm not upset about it when I get it.
Yeah. And once again, it's Rachel McAdams, who's like at least 10 years younger than her co-star, but has to play someone the same age.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get bothered by that a bit, because she's done that like 5 times now.
She is so young looking. Like, we could just stick... You are in this... You're typecast now. Like, you are pigeonholed with this.
Yeah, like, I mean, she's barely 41.
Yeah.
Will Ferrell's firmly in his 50s.
50s, right?
I'm just saying.
And they grew up together.
Yeah. Whatever. At least it's not the most egregious example of this.
Right. Oh, yeah.
How many times have we seen a movie where it's like, look at this 50-year-old man, check out his 22-year-old hot companion? I think that joke came up in a spoof of Doctor Who once. I'm over 900 years old. Here's my assistant, who's 22. Just raises an eyebrow. Anyway. Yeah, no, but I don't know if there's much else to say, because, like, we kind of knew this was going to be the short one in this review sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because, I mean, there's not too much we can say without spoiling certain aspects. I think, other than the fact that I was surprised they did as many performances as they did musically.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed a majority of them.
Most of them were pretty good. Yeah. Like, that's the thing. Like, while they kind of, probably one of the glaring things is, while they kind of mock their initial entrance for the Iceland in the Eurovision contest.
Right.
Like, that's kind of the joke. It's actually not that bad, so that joke doesn't land as well.
No, it's funny because the way it was originally presented was they're singing a terrible song and they're terrible musicians. They can't really sing. Like, that's how it came across initially to me. And then you hear them sing, it's like, oh no, actually they're really good. They just are awkward.
Yeah, like, that's the thing. It's not nearly as bad as you would think it would be.
Right.
Sorry, 1 second. Bad time for my voice to go.
The irony is not lost on me.
No, it's really not. But this is what happens when you don't drink enough coffee. But no, like, it's very watchable, and like, it is on Netflix. So if it's one of those things, I'm sure people still got Netflix because I'd say it's pretty enjoyable.
Yeah, no, I really did enjoy it. The only thing I told you before we started recording is just a little long-winded. It's a little over 2 hours.
Yeah, it did not need to be 2 hours.
Yeah, it really didn't. You know, a good hour and maybe 40 at the most. Like, there are certain scenes, certain interactions they could have cut down on, and it wouldn't have hurt the movie whatsoever.
Yeah. And I do appreciate, like, you know, well, they had a few notable people popping in here and there. Like, they had Graham Norton play one of the Eurovision commentators.
Yeah.
Which is a solid international casting choice.
Yes.
And, of course, Demi Lovato, you know, because you know somebody like that was going to pop up in this.
Yeah, and now I thought, like, she would get that one scene where she was singing, and then she actually pops up a few more times.
No, yeah, but they use her fine.
No, it was surprisingly done well. I did not expect her to do so well.
I know, that's kind of the crazy thing about all this, because, like, who the heck directed this? Was it David Dobkin? Yeah. Because he's experienced, but, like, his experience isn't great, because, like, arguably his best movies are Wedding Crashers, which has not aged well.
No, not at all.
And The Judge, which was a weird movie.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it, but I kind of hated it.
Right.
So, yeah, like, geez, man, his filmography, this is easily one of his best films.
Yeah, definitely. It hands
Looking
down.
at his filmography, I'm like, oof. I haven't seen Clay Pigeon, so I have no idea if that's any good, but I hated Shanghai Nights.
Very much
Wedding
so.
Crashers was, like I said, it was fun at the time.
It was a movie of the times.
Oh, very much so.
It was a movie of the times if there ever was one.
I said it before, I'll say it again. Comedy ages the fastest and usually the most poorly.
Yes.
So, it happens. Fred Claus wasn't great at the time.
Yeah, sure.
And I'd say The Change-Up wasn't great at the time either. Although...
A lot more misses than hits.
Yep. And so this is definitely one of his strongest ones. I don't know if there's much else to say, though.
No, really good movie. Something if you want to just kick back, kill a couple of hours, you could definitely do a lot worse.
Absolutely. We're getting to the 1 hour mark, so we might as well dive into Palm
Springs. Yeah, let's go to Palm Springs. Another one. Another streaming.
Yep, because that's pretty much how it is now.
Yeah.
Although that might change soon. I mean, I'm sure we're going to have a movie to talk about pretty quick.
Yeah,
So Palm Springs is on Hulu, which that's my biggest complaint. Because I had to use a freaking VPN to watch.
Yeah, I was about to say you had to use a VPN to that sucks.
Yeah, that or something which I cannot in any way endorse.
Right, exactly.
I didn't do that, though. I want to underline that. Anyway, yeah, because this follows, so Palm Springs, I mean, I'll just flat out say it because it's a core part of the movie. It's essentially the Groundhog Day plot, time loop, but it's a bit different.
I was going to say, it's Groundhog Day at a wedding, but with a significant twist.
Yeah, probably the most glaring twist right away, which helps differentiate it from Groundhog Day, is we enter partway through the loop where Andy Samberg's character, Niles, has already been in the loop for a while.
Right.
And the twist is Christian Miliotti's character, Sarah, gets pulled into it. And it turns out she's not the only one. A few people are in the loop.
Yes.
Which we have seen before, multiple people trapped in a time loop in fiction before. Like, that shows up in pop culture a lot. And, like, when it's done well, Groundhog Day-style episodes are some of my favorite episodes in fiction. Like, I really like the one in Stargate SG-1. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah. Just every time the loop starts again, Fort Tilk gets hit in the head.
Yeah.
And that's how he thought he was a Norse god. the guy who played Tilk is the voice of Kratos in God of
yeah,
War.
oh yeah.
For those who don't, you didn't react. I'm like, I should probably explain that to the audience.
No, I was actually just looking at the cast looks just now, just to refresh myself.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, but so yeah, as I said, the plot of the movie is very much the day of a wedding. Guy named Miles shows up. And,
Niles.
Niles. Wow.
It would be more logical if it was Miles. Like, just seriously, but... Yeah.
I think part of the reason is because I was looking at his girlfriend's name as I said that.
And
yeah. So it starts with an M.
Yes.
You see where I'm coming from.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So, yeah, like, it's very much... it's time loop. They're trying to figure out how to figure it out. They kind of dive more into trying to explain it a bit, but they can't. It just kind of gets weird.
Yeah, it's just one of those things like, we're trying to figure out how to break the loop, but things don't work out because we really don't understand how it even functions. Yeah. And then, of course, we just kind of accept the idea that we're in the loop.
Oh, yeah, there's some... that's really kind of the core of it. And as a result, we get... we really explore the consequences of decisions made during the loop.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that was one of the things, like... Groundhog Day was a bit judgmental at points because it showed him exploiting it for selfish means, and it did qualify it as selfish. But the ultimate way he wins over, I can't even remember her name. Like Phil wins over what's her nuts.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Like it's ultimately it's like, is it true? It's like because he's being a better person as a result.
He's trying to be selfless. He's trying to be better. But
but like, is it really? In this case, they really try to, because they're both in the loop. Like this is one of the things I know people debate about Groundhog Day, which I do think they're reading too much into. But I understand the concern is the whole consent thing because when someone doesn't know something, there's that kind of exploitation of amnesia type of subtext as a result.
Right.
And in this case, they kind of get into that more, which I do appreciate. So it almost feels like a response to some of the more interesting critiques of Groundhog Day, and I do appreciate that. Like, it's like, this is something that is thought about in pop culture. While I do think you're potentially reading too much into it, it's good to explore this, really have conversations about it, because like even if you kind of know where this is going because it's a movie. It's not an unpredictable movie.
No, not at all. No.
But yeah, as a result, they do a pretty good job with what they've been working on, and it is nice that. You see a pretty solid little shenanigans movie where they still have some genuine questions about morality, and they of course ultimately go for happy ending and everything. The morality questions are there, and pretty solid.
No, it's a good movie. I was like you said, I just love the idea, and that's probably my favorite part of the entire movie was just the idea of what you would do, and how you would handle a situation like that, and like Niles exploring himself and his environment so much.
Yeah.
Like, I am so bored. I have to figure out what I can do, and just like the certain aspects of how he handled himself throughout this repeating day were absolutely marvelous.
I know, because it's like we got elements of that in Groundhog Day as well, where like he was timing stuff and everything, and you're
right.
Like, okay. You get the idea of what happened in some of those loops, and like that was one of the things I loved about Edge of Tomorrow is they showed some failed loops.
Yeah.
Like the one where he tries to time it to roll under the truck, but he screws
up.
And the loop keeps going for like a few more seconds. So I'm like, oh man, he's not dead right away.
No. Oh, and they also bring that up too, and it's like, you will die and wake right back up, but you will feel the pain beforehand.
Yeah. Oh man. So, no, I don't know. Again, it's one of those movies. Like, this is why I'm so glad we paired this with Ghost of Tsushima. It's like, I don't know if we have much else to say.
No. Those two very solid movies. It's something that, once again, you wouldn't be hard-pressed to watch it. It wouldn't feel like you wasted your time watching either one of them. But there's not that much to say about either one afterwards.
No, like, that's really the thing is they're very watchable. Like, Palm Springs, I'd say, is the stronger movie.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah.
So definitely go check that one out.
I think it flows better. It really does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's also about 2 hours, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about the same amount. Like, I think, I think it's like 90 minutes. I think it's 90.
Was it shorter?
Yeah, it's definitely shorter, but it's not that much shorter. It's not that much. I think it's like maybe 90 or 100 minutes. Not that much.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I didn't check the timestamp, and I've already closed the window, so... Mystery. Yeah, no, so I'd say both movies are very watchable. And, you might be starved for content right now still.
And two movies that'll make you laugh. It won't be, hold your sides funny throughout the entire experience, but they're definitely two movies that have a good amount of laughs to them. So... if you feel a little bit low, pop them in, stream them, whatever you can do, and listen to them. Listen to us. Watch the movies.
Yeah, and Eurovision's definitely the lighter of the two.
Yeah, that's definitely the more comical. If you like Will, of course, and his best version of himself as an actor.
Well, he's the most common version. I think his best version is still Stranger Than Fiction.
That's true. Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah.
It's still one of my favorite Will Ferrell performances.
Yeah.
Because there's some really funny moments, and there's some really human moments. I really like this.
So I like this guy.
I know. It's solid. But, yeah. I think on that note, we'll just kind of wrap it up here.
Yeah.
Thank you, as always, James, for being here.
It was always a pleasure.
I know we might have sounded a little meandering in the next part, but like I said, the trick is we're talking about two movies that are just watchable, so
and there's stuff that if we really want to go deep into, it would just ruin the experience.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil these ones too much.
Right? No, they're definitely movies that you should go out and check out.
Eurovision, you can't spoil too much about it.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, there's a thing that happens, and then you're like,
and then there's a contest, and then there's singing.
Yeah, and then there's a mystery that happens,
yes.
And you're like, is it really much of a mystery? It's probably this, and it wasn't that.
Yeah.
Although the reveal for that was pretty great.
That was, yeah.
And then in Palm Springs, it's like, some sci-fi stuff happens with the time loop and everything, and there's a pretty amazing cameo in that one.
Yeah, very much so.
Which is actually, okay, I need to talk about that actually before we wrap up.
Okay, yeah.
So real quick, I want to shout out the Entertainment Scientific Entertainment Exchange Network, because they've been helping productions of all sizes, like big Hollywood movies and stuff, as well as small independent projects, get paired up with scientists to help them explore stuff. So the scientists, they have cameo in
Palm Springs.
Palm Springs was a result of that.
Oh, wow.
This is why we get a guy who is, definitely Wikipediable.
Yeah.
It's not because the obvious choice immediately for this guy would have been Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
That's one of the go-to science guys, right? Him and Bill Nye are probably the two most prominent science people that constantly show up.
Right.
The only other one I could think of would have been Patrick Moore, but he's passed on.
Yeah.
So it was just getting a different one would have been, and I believe that's how they did that.
Because
they're we need to find a person who can perfectly
explain. That was so weird.
I
just seeing the cameo, I was like, oh, that's very cool. But I had no idea that was the reason why.
That's what they've been doing. Because I just wanted to shout out that organization, because I've actually had some dealings with them myself.
Oh, cool.
Because, like I said, they will take anyone. I mean, I'm sure there's some qualifiers, but as long as you're if you're even just doing a little independent movie and you just want to do a science scene, you're making a little $2,000 indie movie,
right? You
can absolutely contact them, and they do not charge money. They obviously in this case, since they had the dude appear on screen, they probably paid him for that.
Yeah.
Hollywood rules mean what they were, but I just thought I might as well end this by plugging a very solid company, that organization that hopefully will stick around for a long time, because they're also doing a lot of talks right now due to COVID, where they're examining the future and everything in production, and just thought that was worth mentioning.
No, that's really cool.
Entertainment and Scientific Exchange.
All right.
There you go. Well, until next time, folks, if you see a dinosaur, don't question it.